Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of HR Talkback. So, today we're deep diving into a topic that's as crucial as the final seconds of a championship game, checking the pulse of your business. So, let's get real for a moment. If you want your organization to thrive, you've got to ask the right questions and demand data. Don't just take things for face value. You've got to come prepared with insights of your own. So, it's crucial, very, very crucial, that you hire the right people who are truly committed to transparency and accountability. So here's a pro tip. Listen to the individuals that are doing the work. They're your eyes and ears that are on the ground, and they can reveal a lot of what's going on behind the scenes. Things like, let's say there are things that were manipulated or they're overlooked during routine visits. So I have one question for you. Why do you think companies get bamboozled or fall victim to embezzlement? So, some of these shady practices don't just happen in a vacuum. Higher management usually has to sign off, or they may even be the problem. So, what can you do to avoid this? Here are a few things that I would love to recommend from an HR perspective. You should have regular checkups. Just like athletes, they need physicals. Businesses need regular financial assessments. Schedule these checkups. Look at your cash flow, your profit margins, or your expenses to make sure everything is on track. You also need to foster open communication. Imagine a football team where the quarterback doesn't communicate with the offensive line. That would be very chaotic, right? All right. So you want to just make sure there are no funds that are being misallocated. You want to make sure there's no overspending. So you also will need to leverage your data analytics. So in this digital age and time, you should never ignore the data. You should always use these analytical tools to highlight your spending patterns and your operational efficiency. You need to invest in training. Just as athletes train for their sport, you want to ensure your managers have financial literacy. Here's a good one. Accountability is the key. So you want to create a culture where everyone feels responsible for the company's financial health. Regular reporting and feedback can keep your team engaged and informed. You want to also embrace surprise audits. Think of a surprise audit or financial wellness check as your secret weapon. They keep everyone on their toes and foster a culture of honesty. Here's another good one. Know when to call in the cavalry. So if you're getting overwhelmed, you're unsure, please don't hesitate to bring in an HR consultant. They can provide fresh perspectives, ensure compliance, and they can guide your strategy for a healthier workplace. So, listeners, let's stay proactive. You want to engage, communicate, and keep a close eye on the health of your business. So, here are a few other things that you can take in consideration as well. Let's break it down into an annual, quarterly, and monthly insight. So, for annual focus, let's say each year your leaders should choose a specific area to deep dive into regarding the financials and the cost of service. For example, you might focus one year on the operational efficiency. Then the next year, you may want to focus on the customer acquisition goals. But the goal is truly to understand the financial landscape of your organization. You want to do quarterly regular check ins to make sure you're checking on your KPIs or your key performance indicators. You want to look for anomalies. Now, let's take a look at the monthly reviews. On a monthly basis, leaders should examine the cash flow statements, your profit margin, and your service to cost. This is your opportunity to catch any red flags. Now, let's get to the heart of four big questions that your leaders should ask during a review. One of the questions is, what is your current financial trend telling you? You want to look beyond the numbers and identify some patterns. You need to find out if your costs align with your service delivery. Understanding the cost to service helps you ensure that you're not losing money on your operations. What improvements can you make to enhance profitability? This could involve process optimization, better resource allocation, and changes in your service model. And last but not least, how are you leveraging your team's expertise? You want to utilize coaching and mentoring to position to your team's skills effectively. So here are another few questions that from an HR consultant perspective that we can determine and assess whether you need to call in an external source. You want to find out what are your retention rates and your turnover rates. You want to know how many employees have left within 2 to 3 months because a high turnover rate can determine some underlying issues. What is your financial health? Are you experiencing cash flow issues? Are you meeting your KPIs, your key performance indicators? If they fall short on metrics such as sales or customer satisfaction, then it's time to seek external expertise. And how are you effectively adapting to industry changes? If you're struggling to keep up with market trends or regulatory environments, it's time to call in some external support that can provide some insights. So just think about some of the questions. And if you have to raise your eyebrow, if you have to say, I'm not sure, then it's really, really time to call in your external support because they can give you another perspective or a way to look at things instead of just looking at, daily things that you're looking at or people that's just kind of giving you something just to get by. If they're manipulating something, they'll be able to provide that information to you. So, again, I thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this segment. And if there are any additional topics that you would like to hear, please let me know. And until next time.